Good evening and salutations, my Days of Elias fan. I gotta sit there and say this episode has been a lot better than the last past couple episodes. Like I get, Abby's death and everything like that. Everyone's still reeling from it. But with that being said, there was also some very dreary episodes that was just like, which granted, I knew it wasn't gonna be like that for long. I knew after that time passed, they're gonna be like, all right, like who's the killer and stuff like that. So I was kind of waiting for us to get into this point of the story. So that's definitely saving grace. Um, Now with that being said, let's start with Sarah first. Now, I've been reading the comments and stuff like that, and one person was basically saying that is most likely not going to be anyone that we expect, like anyone from the main cast. It's probably going to be some sort of outsider or whatever. I agree, but I also disagree with that too. Um, I think actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be the people that are throwing out the red flags that could have possibly did it, like Gwen, like Leo, like Sarah. Especially Sarah and Gwen. I would sit there and say, and Leo. I don't think did it. Now, Gwen, she's a lot of things, but I don't think that she would actually just kill her sister. I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong. Now let's start with Sarah for a minute. Now, she's been talking, she finally told Xander that, she's been having hallucinations and the whole Tony thing and, she's taking medication. And of course, she still didn't get over the fact that, Xander, I mean, granted, they're good or whatever, but she still kind of mentioned that, Xander was married to Chanel. After that, they run into Eric and Nicole. Now, long story short, Nicole basically said that they're going to push back their wedding because of the whole investigation with Rafe working and Abby's death and everything like that. Um, so they were just like it wasn't a good time. And now, of course, Eric was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't help over here." I was like, "Bro, you chose to sit there and listen in, so I don't know about the whole." I'm totally sorry. It's like you kind of stood there. It's like, well, since I'm here, I must offense listen to what they got to say. Um, Anyway, since they're talking about that, they run into Sarah and Xander. Now, Sarah flies off the handle and thinks that, Kristen is coming at the Eric. So, she's coming at her. Xander's not there pulling her off. Nicole's like, what are you doing? After Sarah calms down, realizes it's not Kristen, she's all apologetic and everything like that. And, you know, she does tell them that, she's still suffering from, hallucinations because of Kristen and everything like that. She apologizes. And, Nicole's like, hi, at first I wasn't feeling that, but now I understand now. Now, Xander's like, well, it's all on Abby. I mean, Abby had a lot to do with it. She left the syringe, being careless, yada, yada, yada. And Nicole's like, yo, like, what is wrong with you? Now, they're sitting there thinking that Xander's just being his usual dick self, okay? But, when they find out, they tell Xander and Sarah that, yo, Abby's dead or whatever. They didn't know about that. So now, this comes as a total shock. Um, there's one point Nicole's like, she looks at him like, well, you did seem like you were mad at Abby for, leaving that syringe or whatever. And I'm like, Nicole, uh, yeah, he was upset that she left that, syringe around, but he wouldn't be upset enough to, stab her. I literally sat there was like, Nicole, how did you actually even jump to that conclusion? Like, I mean, granted, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's something that Sammy would do before she kind of realizes, just how stupid that sounds and just the idiotic stupidness that is coming out of her mouth. I grant that she's like, yeah, you're right, because Zen was like, if anything, I'm grateful for her, find my Sarah, whatever, and yada yada. And she was like, yeah, that's true. And I was like, yeah, that's true. So why the hell would you say something that stupid? I would sit there and wonder what's, the sad thing is that I'm actually being a dick for a minute. I'm just like, I'm sitting there wondering what Rafe and Eric saw in you, but still, I would sit there and wonder. Okay, you know what? Let me reverse that question. What makes them actually stick around to be around her? Like Nicole, sometimes I'm just not too sure about that woman. Now, at some point, at some point, Sarah, because she has to take some food or whatever before she takes some medication. And she's talking to Zen, and she's sitting there like, most likely Gwen did it. Gwen can't stand Abby, especially with the whole, killing that other doctor. But, Xander was like, well, in reality, that was an accident. And to be fair, that was also kind of on him because Xander did literally scare that doctor to death. And also, Xander points out the fact that, she was in jail. There was no way that she can leave and then come back, at the same time. She was literally in jail when that happened. So I was like, all right, whatever. Now, of course, given Sarah's history right now of flying off the handle, hallucinating and everything like that, I'm surprised that Xander didn't sit there and be like, no. But I know at some point she's going to be coming up as a suspect. Ava visits Gwen and asks her point blank, did you kill what you call it? Like, did you kill Abby? And of course, they did a little backstory. Long story short, Gwen called Ava and was like, yeah, remember that whole bust me out or whatever? Could you still do that or whatever? And Ava was like, yeah, that was before you actually went to jail. There's a difference between me springing you before you go into prison and me actually, springing you while you're in prison. It's not that I can't do it, but it's a hell of a lot more complicated. And, at this point, Gwen is like, well, I don't need to, like, leave. I'm still going to fight the charges. I just need to get out for a couple hours. Of course, she doesn't sit there and say why. And to be honest, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. She's like, oh, I just need to leave jail for a couple hours. What? And, at one point, it was like, what, a hot meal? Because, she's like, at this point, she's like, well, I could be aiding in your murder or whatever just by me, using my connection just to get you out for a day, which, again, I don't remember her sitting there saying why, and it really doesn't make any sense to sit there and just leave for a day. Like, you're supposed to be sitting there trying to fight these charges. Why would you risk that to leave for a day? Like, oh, well, I don't plan on being a fugitive my whole life. It's like, did you plan on getting more time? Because if you got caught, that's literally what wound up happening. So long story short, Ava's like, listen, next time you ask me for a favor, don't. Like, she's just like, yo, I'm done with you. I'm washing my hands from you. And, Gwen is like, I didn't do it, yada, yada, yada. But Ava's like, I can usually read people. And with you, I just don't know. So, of course, Gwen is going to be a suspect. Now, to some extent, this is where we get into a bit of a rinse and repeat. So, Lonnie is at her job. She's having daydreams, her guilt of Ray. She was sitting there talking, I think, Julie or somebody about Abby's death or whatever. Then after she got done on the phone, she's seeing, Ray, TR or whatever. And I'm just like, so how long are you on the show again? Because I thought you were gone when you were, gone. Okay, I guess we're still doing this now. Sure. So Ray's all like, oh, you killed me, you're asking for justice for somebody else. Where's my justice at? And, at this point now, Lonnie's in there screaming like, "No, what are you talking about?" And do it, yada yada yada. She's screaming her confession. And granted, at some point, Eli walks in, and Eli like, "Yo, what's up? What's the matter?" I'm sitting there thinking, what happened if Melinda just walked in there like, "What happened? You did what?" Hmm. Yeah, it's not there trying to get you on a whole other thing with Kristen, but this, I need a win. Okay, I need a win like a couple months ago. So I need a win, and you know what I'm saying? I'm just like anybody could have walked through and heard her. Of course, now for some odd reason, everyone is gone. It's just literally those two. Rinse and repeat. Lonnie's all like, "I gotta confess. I can't sit there and I can't let Paulina go to jail." And Eli was like, "You can't do it. You got the kids, the second, third. Um, Most likely she's gonna get off. Yada yada yada." Now again, Eli points out to the fact that it's like, listen, let's just sit there and say you do confess. All right. She's still going to be in trouble for falsifying a confession or whatever, for a false confession, you know, she's still going to be in trouble for that, and now you're going to lose the kids, and she's going to be in trouble. So yeah, your confession isn't going to really do much. I'm sitting there thinking like I'm pretty sure Justin can sit there and kind of get that drop, but. All right, Lonnie. I mean, all right, Eli. I get what you're saying. So they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, Chanel's in there calling up a bunch of people because mom's home. I'm gonna be completely honest. The reason why Chanel is partly the way that she is because of Paulina. Chanel was on the phone talking to Justin, leaving him a rude and nasty message, whatever, right? Paulina comes in the door, and Chanel's like, "Oh, well, now that you're here, I should sit there and apologize to Justin for, calling him out and being all rude and nasty about, like, why, you haven't made Bill yet." But Paulina's like, "No, don't do that. You don't owe him an apology or anything like that. Like, when I get the charges dropped or whatever, we're going to be all good." And I'm like, Paulina, you're missing the point. Your daughter wanted to apologize for her behavior, and you're just like, "You don't owe that man no apology." I'm sorry, sweetheart. Didn't he actually get you out of jail when at one point he didn't even know it was possible? Because, you confessed, but now you're just going to be like, "You don't owe that man no apology." This makes me sit there and think, like, the time that I really didn't like Chanel, I gotta sit there. I mean, granted, at the end of the day, she is still her own woman. Okay, so it's not all on Paulina, but I'm sitting there thinking, like, you're partly the reason why I couldn't stand her. Anyway, she's all happy that she's home. The snit there catching up a little bit, talking about the twins fighting over her. And, once again, she's like, "Oh, well, that's not really conceited of me, is it?" And Paulina's like, "No, it's not." I was like, "Well, if it was, would you actually tell her the truth, or would you sit there and just placate her?" But Paulina's like, "I don't want, she's like, I want you to be done with both of them because it's a whole devil thing or whatever." I'm like, you do realize that it wasn't really their fault. Like, they didn't ask to have the devil possess them, but okay, whatever. So anyway, she's happy. She calls up, Abe, which Abe is with Julie. They're catching up a little bit. Nothing really too crazy or whatever. Calls up Abe, tells her, get down there. She's going to be making some cake or whatever, and food. Now, I'm just not there wondering, does her cooking skills, is it just bakery or can she just cook in general? Anyway, anyway, he gets down there, he poses to Paulina, and they decide to do it on Juneteenth. I want to make sure I didn't mispronounce that. Yeah, they set the date for Juneteenth. So they're going to be doing that. Chanel invites, I'm about to say EJ, Eli. But Eli's like, "Nah, we can't make it. She's not really, Lonnie's not really feeling good. And, she just needs to stay home. So, give her our best." Now, at this point, again, they go back and forth. Lonnie's all like, "Oh, so is this how it's going to be?" every time that we sit there and get together, you're gonna sit there and try to keep my mouth shut and yada yada yada. Yes, yes. You know the sad part, and granted, I don't know exactly how much I can really sit there and put these into comparisons, but by the time that the truth does come out, right, and everyone knows that Lonnie is the one that shot TR, get to trial. This reminds me of Michael when the truth came out, and he was the one that killed Claudia or whatever. And granted, he finally got caught, and he was there saying, well, that time did not confess or whatever. And the judge was like, well, it was a really half-hearted confession. And this is after you evading the law for so long. Like, I'm going to sit there and throw the book at you at this point for all the crap that you put me through. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with Lonnie. You know, all the crap that, she's been lying, covering up, and using her badge, and this, that, and the third. That I'm not going to be too surprised that, when everything comes to light, that, they're not going to sit there and throw the book at her and then some. Yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Like I said, it wasn't really a super great episode, but it wasn't like a bad episode either. I think the show's actually starting to get back on track again, which is great. Not to saying it wasn't great before, but like after a while, again, just the whole dreariness was just like, hmm. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. See you in the next video.